Hog Control program about 2 years later when we were seeing hundreds every year. My neighbor and landowner lost about 400 acres of corn that year, and he blamed me because they were magically my pigs. But anyway, I have tried pretty much everything there is to try, from shooting them out of helicopters to shooting them at night for night vision, trapping, hunting them with dogs. I've killed 2,600 pigs since '97. I've got a little bit of experience. I'm going to try to teach y'all some of the things that I learned the hard way. Teach you some lessons that most of it's common sense, but you just won't think about it until I tell you, and then you're going to go, why didn't I think of that? But, anyway, our pigs came from the Spanish. You can send them a letter and thank them. I did. DeSoto brought over 300 head with him when he came in his exploration of the southeast. Did we have fences in the 1500s? Of course not. So he free grazed them across the southeast. There were escapes, of course. He also traded them with the Indians. So Alabama's had pigs since the 1500s. It's nothing new. Unfortunately, those pigs stayed in the Tombigbee River Basin until about 1982. We had pigs in 3 or 4 counties in 1982, maybe 5 or 6. You know, we had a few little isolated populations here or there, but since then, we now have them in all 67 counties, and at least isolated populations. What happened in 1982? I mean, did they just start reproducing all of a sudden? They've been here since the 1500s. People happened in 1982. That's when the hunting craze went nuts and everybody started wanting to hunt pigs, and people started moving them all over the state. Wisconsin DNR called me needing trap plans and trap designs. Pigs from the southeast did not walk to Wisconsin. Somebody took them in the back of a pickup truck or in a cattle truck. That's what's happening. The problem is as a conservation officer, if I catch you moving hogs down the road today and you say they're domestics, I've got to be able to prove that they're not, which means I had to see you load them up in the wild to be able to prove in a court of law that those are wild pigs. And then even if I do get a conviction, you can sell 1 or 2 pigs for what the fine's going to cost you. So one thing we're working on is trying to get that changed. Being able to prove that they're wild is tough. So we're looking at options. You know, can we get Department of Ag to make all pig farmers mark their pigs? That's about the only way we're going to get it to work.
I understand that back in the 80s or something, hog prices got down to about a nickel a pound.
A lot of people
A lot of the farmers just turned them loose.
sure. Couldn't afford to feed them.
That's right.
That's part of
They
the
are
problem.
domestic breeds.
Oh, sure. But those domestic breeds, hogs are the fastest species to revert back to their natural characteristics. Those domestic tendencies with the shorter teeth and the squiggly tail, all that was bred into them, you know, or the wild was bred out of them. So if you leave that pig in the wild, within a couple generations, those pigs are going to look just like my wild pigs that have been wild for 30, 40 years. So what's troubling about this species is their reproductive rate and lack of natural predators. How many litters do you think a hog at one sow has in a year? 2 a year, but 3 in 14 months. Their gestation period's about 115 days. Litter size ranges from 4 to 14. So what does that mean? I mean, that's a lot of numbers. That means if I drop off 4 pigs on your property, 2 boars and 2 sows, if they have 2 litters a year with 6 in a litter, which is conservative, in 3 years, how many pigs do you have? Starting with 4, 2 litters a year, 6 in each litter. How many pigs, if all of them live, no natural mortality, none get hit by cars, shot by hunters, anything else, if all of them live, you have 16,000 pigs in 3 years. What in Alabama do we have that will eat a pig over 30 pounds? An alligator. That's about it. Some claim we have cougars, but I still haven't seen one. I'd love to. If you got good reports on one, I'd like to be the first biologist to prove it. But that's what we're dealing with. It's a species that's reproducing faster than we can get rid of. And without having natural predators, they're going to keep reproducing. If you don't have them on your property now, you will. How many people are dealing with them right now? How many people have them within 10 miles of you? Y'all have hogs, you just don't know it yet. We had hogs move 7 miles in a day and a half. Auburn did a research project 5 or 6 years ago. We put radio transmitters on 30 of them. We had hogs move 7 miles as the crow flies in a day and a half. What were they going to? corn. Silked out corn. As soon as it's silked out, we've been using the same system as the coon hunters used to track their dogs, a Yagi antenna, and we could pick them up out to 2.5, 3 miles, and we could go in and locate them every day. As soon as the McCurdy's corn started silking out, day and a half, they're sitting in the middle of it. Can they smell that good? We don't know. One thing I can tell you is a pig can wind you at 300 and 400 yards. How do I know that? We've got some pretty neat equipment. This is a $14,000 unit. It's called thermal imaging. What it does, it turns the dark of night into a black and white image with no lights. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, I could look across this pea field. Anything warm-blooded in that field shows up radiation white, the whitest white you could imagine. So you're looking at a black and white screen like an old black and white TV. And if a deer walks out and his antlers are in velvet and there's blood running through them, I can count every point on his horns. I can see a pig's mouth opening up at 100 yards. I can watch a little tail switching back and forth at 200 yards. I can pick up a pig at 900 yards. I can pick up a man at a mile. Pick up a car at 5 or 6 miles, but $14,000, who can afford it? We have one in the whole state, in the department. So, you know, cost effective, I don't know. So we talked about the reproductive rates. How much damage does one hog do a year? Estimates say as high as $2,000 of crop damage in a year from one pig. One pig, $2,000. Estimates for the nation last year was $1.8 billion worth of agricultural damage. That's not including your wildlife food plots. I can't plant corn, I can't plant chufa, I can't plant Sudan, sorghum, whatever I plant on Lowndes WMA gets tilled up, rooted up. My turkeys suffer. I love planting chufas for my turkeys, but within about 3 days of putting the chufas in the ground, they're rooted back up. So farmers are losing tractor axles because of rooting in their fields. You know, the problem with hogs is like in a cornfield, they don't just eat the fruit off the stalk. They cut the stalk at ground level and lay it over. They may eat that corn off that stalk and they may not. But the harvesters won't pick it up if it's laid on the ground. They pick up standing corn. So the farmers are getting killed. So if you see 20 pigs in a group, how many do you think you can kill before they hit 30 miles an hour and bound out of your eyesight? You might kill 1 or 2, but 1 or 2 out of 20, you gonna hurt them? Not really. One adult sow, every adult sow you can take off your property, you can guess or figure that's probably 30 pigs next year that you just removed. So every opportunity you get to kill a sow, by all means, take it. Have rules on your properties. If you see a 10-point buck and a big sow, the sow better get shot first. If you come to my property and shoot a deer over a pig, you won't be invited back. That's my rule. Pig and a deer, you better shoot the deer running because the pig's dying, or you're not going to be invited back. You better not tell me about it. Hunting's not going to control them. Do we have any dog hunters here? They always get mad at me. I talk bad about dog hunters. The people that are the problem with hogs is anybody catching them alive. If it's a dog hunter and he says, well, I'm going to take him home and feed him out. That is translated into, I'm moving him to your neighbor's place down the road because he won't give him permission to hunt. Trappers the same way. If he tells you, well, I need to take him home and feed him out, he's getting moved down the road and turned loose. State law is, if you catch him here on this property, he cannot leave alive without a permit from us. That law's been in effect 5 or 6 years, and I still haven't written a permit. I've had a couple calls. Oh, I need to move one up the road. No. And so far, the chief hasn't made me write it, so I've been pretty lucky. But you can't give me a good reason that you need to move a hog up the road. You just shoot it in the head, throw it in the cooler. If you want to eat it, eat it. You don't have to feed out a wild hog to eat it. A lot of people think you got to take them home and cut them and feed them corn. They eat all natural. They're eating the better crops than you're eating on the table at home. You know, they're eating natural corn. But that's kind of what we're dealing with. Hunting's not going to control them. Dog hunting, every dog hunter I've ever hunted with, and like I said, I've tried every method in the world to get rid of these things. All we ended up doing was chasing dogs. We'll catch a couple, but you know, if you spend 8 hours, you catch 2 or 3, and you chase dogs for 6 hours. The state does not have the time nor the money to pay me to chase dogs. I just don't see where it's that effective. Now, can you use them to pressure them off of a place for a short period of time? By all means, yes. The hogs do not like being chased by those hogs. If you've got a crop that you need to harvest in 2 weeks, call a dog hunter that you trust that won't take hogs off your place and have him run those dogs through it. You can push them out, for a short period of time. They will come back. Can you hunt them at night legally in Alabama? Only with a permit. We'll write you the permit. If you called me today and said, I have hogs on my property, I need a permit to shoot them at night, I'll write you the permit. Will you be successful is the question. With a deer, when you hit it with a spotlight, what do you see? Okay. Y'all aren't night hunters. See, the people that say, you see the eyes? I say, you're a night hunter. All right, if you hit one with your car lights, what do you see? You see those big green eyes, right? That's caused by a reflective layer in the eye called a tapetum lucidum, okay? When the light hits that layer, it glows. Hogs don't have it. So when you hit a hog, even way over there at the truck with a spotlight with a deer, you could shine it at the deer and you get those glowing eyes. With a hog, you get nothing. So you're looking for a black or brown or a gray object in a black or brown field or a green field. So I'm going to write you the permit and tell you good luck. But when you shine out across that field, the first couple times you go, you're going to go right by the hog and never see him because you're looking for that green eye that's not going to appear. There is equipment you can buy, night vision, thermal imagery, digital scopes, and I brought one to show y'all, that will increase those success rates. But I have $20,000 worth of equipment. I've killed 2,600 hogs. I still have a hog problem. Y'all get where I'm going? There's no one solution that's going to solve your problem. Don't let some fast-talking swindler talk you into spending $5 grand or 10 grand or 14 grand on something that's going to solve your problem, because it's not. If it would solve your problem, I would be rich and I'd be the one selling it and I wouldn't be working anymore.
How about poison?
I'll get to that. We talked about hunting, we talked about dogs, we talked about shooting them at night. What about bait? Can you shoot a hog over bait? Over corn with a permit. Same thing. If you get caught hunting a deer at night or hunting a hog at night, hunting a deer over bait, hunting a deer hog over bait, it's all the same charge if you don't have the permit. So, I don't need the permit, it's my property. Well, if you get caught hunting hogs at night, it starts at $4 grand, roughly. Your truck, if it's paid for, will be ours. Thank you very much. Your gun, your scopes, it's just like hunting a deer at night. If you don't have the permit, we'll give it to you. All you have to do is call us. We'll give you the permit. We'll write it over the phone and send it to you. Have you sign it, we'll sign it, send it to the office. Just ask for the permit.
How long a period is it good for?
It depends on the officer. We have the right to tell you how long you can do it. The best thing I can tell you is have a relationship with your officer, have a relationship with your district office and your biologist. There's going to be one for your property somewhere close to you, within an hour's drive, 2 hours drive. I work out of the Northport office. It's where my district office is, but I work in Lowndes County. That's 2.5 hours apart. But there's somebody close to you. Here you got Bill Gray over at Enterprise, super nice guy. He's the district biologist. And your county game wardens can write the same permit, the conservation officer.
Will they give you one during deer turkey season?
No, not for bait.
Right. That's the thing. Of course,
And unfortunately, that's part of the problem is we have a lot of non-tenant landowners, except during deer season or turkey season. That's when everybody wants to come to their property to hunt. So the people that aren't there controlling hogs, their little properties are breeding grounds for hogs. And that's what I'm dealing with in Lowndes County is I've killed 2,600, but I've got 3 landowners around me. One of them sells hunts on them. He don't want them gone. And 2 of them aren't there in the summertime when they're breeding, dropping 2 litters a year.
Well, and the biggest thing is, I like hunting. I wouldn't mind hunting them, hunting hogs at night, hunting them over bait, but I don't want to do it in July. I'd rather do it in February or something like that after deer season.
Yeah, well, and we can write it in February, but unless, and I will not say that we cannot write you a permit during deer season. If you have extenuating circumstances, according to the chief of enforcement, it can be done, but you're going to have to give us a good reason, as in you lost $20,000, $40,000 worth of crops. You know, it can be done, but it's not going to be because you want to do it and you don't want to hunt when it's hot.
Right.
That's not a good enough excuse to make us right one during deer season. But hunting over bait, the problem with it, I get people calling me all the time. If you just let me pour out corn, I'd kill every one of them. Well, it's just not true. Once you shoot over that bait pile 2 or 3 times, the hog's going to get used to it. They're going to hit it at 2 and 3 in the morning. When you're at home, asleep, what happens to a hog when you feed it more? It's healthier, it drops more piglets. So by all means, if you have a permit to shoot them over bait and you're not being successful, by all means, please quit putting out the corn, because you're helping them, not helping us. Just quit. You know, if you're not able to go, if you don't have time to go, don't keep filling up that feeder and having them drop more piglets. Same with nighttime stuff. You know, if you go and it's just not working, you know, don't waste your time. If you've got a little bit of money, you know, you can buy some equipment. You don't have to spend $10,000 and buy a thermal unit. There's different type scopes on the market, and I brought the one that I use today. This is a Remington AR-10, and it's unloaded. AR-10s are AR-15 and 308 caliber, basically. There's all different types. I didn't point it at you. There's all different types of scopes on the market. Everybody's heard of night vision. Night vision has a tube, okay, and it's gas filled, and it's got a shelf life of about 10,000 hours. To get good night vision that I would actually use, that wouldn't aggravate me because I can't see good in it, you're going to spend about $4 grand for good night vision. The problem with it is after 10,000 hours, it's a $4,000 paperweight. Once you've used it, 10,000 hours is a long time, but still, to spend that kind of money and have a shelf life, I don't like it. This is a digital scope, so it's electronic, not gas-filled tubes. It doesn't have a shelf life except for anything electrical can break eventually. So a resistor may burn out or whatever else. This scope is $1,200 $1,200 to $1,400, depending on who's got it on sale. What I like about the digital scopes, with a night vision scope, any bright light shined into the front of that scope will blow it up, you know, burn it out. It cannot take a bright light. This one, you could shine a spotlight up in it and it won't hurt it. You can shoot this one sighted in at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. If you tried to do that with a night vision scope, it would just go, it would die. This one, you can shoot day or night. What I like about this one is it uses some night vision technology. This on the side right here is an infrared, it's called an infrared torch. If you turn it 1 click on, it's on with no illumination. You turn it 2 clicks, it's got some illumination. That's coming from that torch. Now if there's no moon and I can't get enough light through the scope, this is an infrared flashlight. Infrared spotlight, really. I've got a pressure switch right here. If I turn on the scope and I can't see that hog up on top of that hill at 200 yards, I press the pressure switch, and it's like turning on a 2 million counter power spotlight, but it's invisible to our eye. There's no lights that come out of the front of the scope whatsoever. The hogs don't see anything. All they hear is boom, and then the bullet hitting the pig beside it. Whop! And that's a good sound. That's a good sound. This setup, this gun is not cheap. That's a $1,700 rifle at Bass Pro or Academy or wherever else. The scope, though, if you look for them on sale, cheaper than dirt, Sportsman's Guide, Cabela's, Bass Pro, you'll find one in the $1,250 to $1,300 range. I would buy 3 of these before I bought a $4,000 night vision scope, because this gun I can use any time of the day. If you buy that night vision scope, you're going to dedicate a gun to nighttime. You know, most of you aren't going to go as much as I do. I go 2 or 3 times a week. But with this one, I don't have to dedicate that gun to just nighttime stuff. So it's got 7 different reticles in it. You can record. You can plug in a recorder. That little screen right there, I can record what I'm seeing, what I'm shooting. We do surveys with it and with that thermal camera. But you know, there's options to where you can increase your success rates at night, but it's going to cost you. You know, it's not going to be a $50 deal at Walmart. You're going to spend a couple $1,000s. But if you go out with a spotlight and I go out with this, I'll kill 10 times more than you'll kill on average. And that's if you kill any at all. You know,
It's just not that successful.
Can you put a silencer in that gun?
No, I don't, and I'll tell you why. The pigs don't only react to the boom of the gun, they react to the bullet striking the pig beside it. So when I shoot this gun at night, like if I shot at a pig at the top of that hill, you'd hear boom, and then you'd hear whop, and that's that bullet striking that pig and popping the air out of his chest. We've tried silencers, and with silencers, everything you see on TV, throw out the window. You cannot make a 308 silent. You can't do it. I don't care how much money you have, a 308 cannot be silenced. You can bring a 308 down to like a 22 though. When I put a suppressor on my other 308, instead of a boom, you get a pop. It's just a pop, like a 22 short. But you're shooting a bullet that's twice as heavy. To get a 308 quiet, you have to shoot what's called a subsonic round. The bullet's twice as heavy. Instead of 150 grain, you're shooting a 300 grain bullet. You're shooting half a powder charge. So not only is it heavier, it's also got less power. So at about 75 yards, that bullet starts dropping. You turn a 300-yard gun into a 75-yard gun or a 100-yard gun. The suppressor itself is going to cost you $1,200. Right now, there's a 7-month wait to get it approved by ATF. There's 14 people in the entire United States that do the applications, and due to our current administration, a lot of people are buying them, and the wait right now is 7 months to get one approved. If you went and bought one at the store today, filled out your paperwork, you wouldn't get to receive it for 7 months, and that's estimated time. So I just don't see where, I'd rather have another $1,200 scope than a $1,200 suppressor. I just don't see where they make that big a difference. The best thing about being able to shoot with no lights is the pigs react to your spotlights, and before I had this scope, I had entry lights on my guns, and we'd find them with that camera, walk up within 30 yards of them, hit an entry light like on a SWAT team gun, an M16 with a bright flashlight on it, basically. And we'd hit our pressure switch and then shoot the pigs. Well, the pigs react to those lights, and they learn that a bright light means somebody's about to shoot at them. With this, when I shoot, a pig drops, and the other ones run about 10 yards, and they stop and go, "What was that?" And then I shoot another one, pow, and they run about 10 yards, and they stop again. So it's fun, but it's the problem with every control method except for traffic. All those methods, you're going to be spending man hours. Man hours is money. Okay, if the state wants me killing pigs, they got to pay me. I volunteer some because it's fun. You know what I'm saying? Time is money. Your time is money. So your most cost-effective control method is with traps. Don't get caught up in the my trap's better than their trap. Build what works. If you can catch pigs in a $50 door, by all means, catch them in a $50 door. That's the simplest trigger in the world. And this door I built this morning on the back of the truck. Right when I got here this morning, because all mine are on traps right now. But 2x4s, there's a 2x2 sandwiched in between. Can y'all see that runner? There's a 2x2 sandwiched in between two 2x4s. That's a 32-inch sheet of 3/4 inch plywood. 32-inch piece. Why 32 inches? You get 3 of them out of a sheet of plywood. 32, 32, 32. You need 4 48-inch pieces of 2x4, 4 6-foot 2x4s, 32 by 48 piece of plywood, 20 or 30 foot of rope, 1 pulley. I use deck screws because I like the square-headed screws. They don't strip out as much. Drill 2 holes in your door down there. The door just pulls open with the rope. Your trigger is so simple it's ridiculous. With this under pressure, that stick will sit right at the top of that rebar. The rebar will just barely fit into that stick. The hog just bumps it. The stick comes out, door top. It's not rocket science, it's not fancy, it doesn't have a lot of springs and attachments, but guys, it works. It works like a champ. The key to catching hogs with this door is how you bait the trap. We're going to build a big circle out of either cattle panel, horse panel, or goat panel. I use horse panel, I'll tell you why. A hog can jump a 48-inch fence all day long, flat-footed. He'll go over top of it. If he can't jump it, he'll jump over his buddies. They'll pile up in a corner and they'll stair step over each other and go over. A 5-foot panel, I've only had 2 hogs get out. One of them skewered himself on top of a T-post. I still got him. That was good. The other one, I'm not so sure about it. But what I use horse panels for is it's got a 2x4 rectangle repeated from the top to the bottom. Cattle panel or horse panel, cattle panel starts small and then gets bigger. And at the top, or if you flip it over at the bottom, you're going to have a 5x4 inch hole. A 20-pound pig, if he can get his head through it, his body's going through it. Okay, just like a cat. If a cat can get its head in a hole that big, his whole body will fit through it. Pigs are the same way. If I get them in my trap and they eat my corn, I want them dead in my trap. So that's why I use the horse panel. They can't jump out, they can't fit through the squares. So I'm going to use 16 footers. If I'm seeing groups of 20 pigs, I'm going to use 4 panels. That's going to give me about a 30-foot circle once I close it around. And I overlap about a foot, foot and a half just for strength. Don't tie it end to end, overlap it just a little bit. To tie the panels together, just utility wire. If it's real thin stuff like what Lowe's sells, wrap it double and just twist it up with a pair of pliers. What works good, does everybody know what a rebar tie is? It's a little piece of steel wire with 2 loops on the end. It comes with a little, what do you call that little thing? It's got a little thing with a little hook on it. You stick it in the 2 holes and you twist it and it ties up real quick. I can build a trap in 30 minutes using those little rebar ties. But I'm going to end up, usually if I'm seeing 7 to 10 pigs, I'm going to use 3 panels. I'll have about a 20-foot circle. How you bait this trap is going to determine how many you catch. If you put all your bait at your trigger, you're going to catch the first pig that goes in the trap. He's going to go to your trigger, flip the stick, door falls, you're done because it's not a multiple catch door. Root doors and swinging doors, the pigs can still push in. A study that we did last year showed it only happens about 5% of the time. So I don't see spending $400 on a fancy door with a bunch of springs and gadgets when it's working 5% of the time. When this works just fine if you bait your trap right. The biggest mistake people make is they'll build their trap and they want to set it the first night. No, you gotta have patience. Build your trap, bait the snot out of it. I mean, pour the feed to it. Tie that door open and let them come in and out. Let them get used to coming in there. You want them to be pets by the time you catch them. Trail cameras at Walmart now, 40 bucks. You do not have to buy a $500 trail camera that has a quarter-second delay to catch hogs. Get one that'll take a picture. It don't matter if it takes 3 minutes because the hog's going to be standing in a bait pile anyway. Wait until you get a picture of the sow in the trap. The piglets will go in within a day or 2. The sow may take 2 weeks, may take 3 weeks. Wait till she gets in the trap. Put a little bit of bait at your trigger, like 3 cups of corn. Bait a half moon shape on the other side of the trap. What's going to happen, they're going to get used to feeding on that side, but they're aggressive feeders. Somebody's going to bump one of the little ones off of the big bait pile. It's going to walk around the trap because they'll walk, follow the circle of the trap around, go to your trigger, bump the trigger, then you caught 15 instead of 1. Catch the whole family group at one time. That's how you control pigs. Not by hunting them at night, hunting them over bait. 15 at a time, you don't do much hunting at night. Hunting over bait, hunting with dogs. 15 at night trapping, I do regularly. It's all in how you bait that trap, and patience is the key. Any questions?
What's the latest on the sterile?